to College Corner for week 9 of the college football season as we get into our favorite plays and props for week 9. Not a fantastic slate, I will have to say. Definitely some marquee games, Oregon, Utah, which we will talk about. I do have a play in that game, and a couple other decent games on the schedule. But one of those, I think, early on in the day, at least during the noon slate, maybe spend some time with some family, some significant others, some friends, those people that have been bitching at you, they've been watching too much football. This might be the weekend to do so, but it doesn't mean we're not going to make some money betting on these games. I got 4 plays today, 2 player props, a total and a side, so a little bit of everything here. Last week, down week, 1-3 on the show here, and 6-6 overall. If you're following me on Twitter, I'm dropping all my plays there. We've got plays pretty much every day in college football, with there being football on every single day, basically, other than Sunday in college football, Sunday and Monday. So be sure to follow me there on Twitter. I'll include that link down below in the description, and let's get into these plays for Saturday. First one up in that noon slate, might not be watching, but I think this one's definitely going to make you some money. It is Donovan Smith over 240.5 passing yards. Now, today's video and every College Corner video is brought to you by Props.cash. Shout out to them for sponsoring College Corner this season. If you guys haven't had the chance to check them out, an awesome player prop tool. If you haven't downloaded the app for Props.cash, use promo code OwnersBox. Your first month will be 25% off, just $15. What they have is tons of stats and information based on hit rates of these players. Are they going over this number? Are they going under this number? Some of the other underlying numbers of targets, receptions, how many pass attempts they have, and there's also filters that I love using, which we'll put on display here with Donovan Smith, of looking at different situations, whether they're in conference games, whether they're underdogs, whether they're on the road, at home. Really helps you paint a picture of why the number's set where it is and if they can clear it. So for Donovan Smith, the numbers of Props.cash look fantastic. Over in 4 straight games. He's also over in both road games this year, which is a key thing to look at. He's also over in 3 of his 4 conference games this season, and then over in his last 3 games as an underdog. There's a lot of information for you, but over against Texas Tech, West Virginia, and Texas as underdogs. In this one, they're a sizable underdog here against Kansas State. Kansas State's defense, very good against the run. 13th in EPA per rush, 4th in stuff rate. So what that means, it's going to be very difficult to stay ahead of the chains if they're running the football. Passing the football is definitely the better way to go here against this Kansas State team, and it's what a lot of opposing offenses have done. Teams have been throwing the ball at the 8th most in the country against them, 37.8 times per game. Smith is already attempting 37.7 passes per game this season, so this is in line with what he's been doing on a week-to-week basis. Could see even more in this one because they're already a team that likes to throw the ball much more than they do run it. And was looking at the numbers here as well at Props.cash to notice that the only games he did go under this season, the 2 games he went under, he attempted 35 passes or less. And in this game, I don't anticipate seeing that. So I definitely think 240.5 is a number that Smith could easily clear. And at some of the books you might be betting at, DraftKings, I know, for example, FanDuel will do this as well. Set some alt lines. You could play this at 270 maybe for some plus money, even 300, because again, this Houston team going to give up a lot of points, going to need to battle back, and that means throwing the football a ton with Donovan Smith. So love this over here. Now to our biggest game on the day. Man, our first half under from last week, Duke, Florida State, was not even close. A punt return touchdown, a defensive touchdown, just blew it out of the water. But I'm going back to a first half under in this Oregon-Utah game. First half under 24. So make sure you're finding that key number, 24, that push on like a 14-10 type of score or a 21-3 type of score is going to be important for you. So make sure you're shopping to get that 24. Found that at Bet365 and as well as Caesar. So keep that in mind when you're looking to bet this and place this. Let's get into this matchup. I'm very excited for this game. Obviously, the Utes, they just don't lose in Salt Lake. One of the best home field advantages in the entire country. I'm not saying this because they have the loudest environment necessarily, but this is a lot of going to Salt Lake, going to Utah, playing the elevation, and obviously the environment here is still fantastic. One of my favorite teams to watch, honestly, even though right now, or this season, they haven't been the electric offensive years past under Cam Rising. Going to be playing the rest of the season without him, which really sucks. But the Utah offense has looked very different than what it has the first couple weeks of the season. They've scored 30-plus points in back-to-back games now against Cal and USC, 2 defenses that I don't have a lot of respect for, especially, actually, I wouldn't even say especially, both of these teams. Cal gave up, 45 to Oregon State as well. USC is just baby shit soft defensively, and this is a Utah team that just plays that man-style football where they really win in the trenches. But I don't think you're going to see this offense operate the way they have been the last couple of weeks. They're 64th in EPA per rush. They're not a terrible rushing offense, but they're a bad passing offense. Bryson Barnes, not going to move the needle. I know it was a big game last week. This is not a very good college quarterback. This is the guy that would have at the third string, and quite frankly, some years If they were healthier with Cam Rising and the backup back, I can't remember his name now. He's out for the year, but they've been playing Nate Johnson as well. So he's really like could be the fourth string guy for this team. They're 89th in yards per attempt. Oregon hasn't been great against the run, so I do think Utah will definitely lean on Jaquindon Jackson. Their rushing attack is hilarious. Again, they're another team dealing with a bunch of injuries. Micah Bernard got hurt in the first game of the year, out for the season. They're going to Jaquindon Jackson, who's a former quarterback, and then their safety, Sione Vaki, has been running the ball I think at least 12 times per game the last 2 weeks. He's been running it a bunch. He's playing on both sides of the ball. You're talking about Travis Hunter. Talking about Sione Vaki is doing the exact same thing, except from the running back spot, which is crazy. So they don't have a lot of talent at running back. But again, Oregon hasn't been great against the run, 5 yards per carry given up. They're 57th in EPA against the run, so they're not terrible, but it will probably be the way you see this Utah team attacking the Oregon defense. But two teams that are pretty slow offensively. They take a lot of time off the clock, especially Utah. They're 121st in seconds per play. So even if they are controlling the ball on the ground, they're going to play very slowly. They want to turn this game into a rock fight. They cannot keep up offensively with Oregon, in my opinion. Oregon pretty slow as well, 72nd in seconds per play. What again keeps me from I kind of want to bet Oregon this game, but I'm not going to do it because of that home field advantage that Utah has just been lights out. I think they've won 29 of their last 30 at home, and their defense at home has been stellar. They're giving up less than 10 points per game this year at home. So very tough defense to score on, just in general as well. 5th in EPA against the pass, been very good, and 24th in EPA against the run. So Bo Nix, and this entire offense are going to have a tough time moving the football. And I think this first half stays under. But the thing is, if this Utah offense cannot get going, eventually the defense is going to get a little worn out and things could open up in the second half. So that's why I want to play the first half under 24. Let's go to another player prop, this time UCLA, Colorado. J. Michael Sturdivant over 57.5 receiving yards. Now, this one doesn't look as nice at props.cash. The numbers are not clearing as often. He hasn't cleared this in 3 straight games, but he's cleared this in 50% of his games this season. The reason I'm going to this prop, 2 things. The first being Ethan Garbers going in at QB now. He was in at QB last week against Stanford. They made the change away from Dante Moore. I think it's a good thing. Moore just does not look ready to play right now. And it's a good sign for Sturdivant too, because the 2 games that Garbers has started, both in week 1 against, was it Coastal? Yeah, against Coastal Carolina. And then last week against Stanford, he posted the most receptions of his season. So 5 receptions in both of those games, which he hadn't done in any other game prior. Because I just don't think Kelly completely trusted Moore, especially that early pick 6 to Utah a few weeks ago has really killed, I think, Moore's confidence and why we're seeing Garbers. So I think that's a good sign here. He's had 6+ targets in 4 straight games. Garbers is going to be, I think in my mind, a little bit more efficient, definitely efficient from a completion percentage standpoint where Moore really struggled, and that's going to help Sturdivant because he has over 40 targets and only 27 receptions. So his catch rate has not been great. I think that improves here with Garbers. And then the second point here, Colorado's defense, a prime target. One of my favorite teams to target when I'm playing player props. And it seems like at some point I thought that a lot of teams would run the ball in Colorado because I do think their run defense is a little worse. But honestly, a lot of teams have treated Colorado as a get-right spot for their passing offense, which is, I think, exactly what this UCLA team needs. Now, did put up some big numbers against Stanford last week, but teams are throwing the ball against Colorado 40.9 times per game. Crazy. The 3rd most in the country. For a team that's been blown out a few times here and hasn't always been and has sometimes been pretty competitive games, usually a team that's seen their opponents throw the ball a ton, it's because they're blowing them out and the teams are trying to climb back by throwing the football. Not really the case for Colorado as a team below 500. So what I like here is I think the pass volume should be pretty solid, and the Buffs have been brutal against the pass. 119th in EPA per pass. Opponents are completing over 66% of their passes and allowing 7.8 yards per attempt. So really good matchup here for the passing game. Sturdivant's that number 1 option. I think he's a super talented player, transfer from Cal, and I think now with Garbers at QB should be able to clear this number at 57.5. Last one, the favorite part of my Saturdays. It's Pac-12 after dark. This one kicking off at 10:30. We've got Oregon State at Arizona. Love this matchup. This is a very exciting game. I'm very, very excited to watch this one. I love Arizona. +3.5. I think this is a team that can definitely win this game outright being at home. Getting into this matchup, so we've got a Arizona team that's going to throw the ball quite a bit and an Oregon State team that wants to lean on their ground game with Damian Martinez. And for Arizona, shockingly this year, I was very surprised looking into this, and I've been paying attention to this for a couple of weeks now. Arizona has been excellent against the run. These numbers shocked me when I was looking at this at like 3-4 weeks into the season, and they've maintained it. 5th in opponent EPA per rush. They're giving up just 3.9 yards per carry, which is 16th, and they're a top 25 team in stuff rates. This defensive line is playing really, really well, and again, excellent way to match up with Oregon State. That's a top 30 team in terms of run rate. So good here for their defense. And then we look at this Oregon State defense that has not been playing well. They gave up 40 to Cal. They gave up 24 to UCLA a couple of weeks ago as well, which, again, this UCLA offense has been struggling. So I think 24 points is a lot to give up. And especially the Cal game. Man, they were absolutely lost. Now, I don't think the pass defense has been terrible. The numbers tell me they're a pretty solid pass defense. But one thing that really sticks out, and again, another thing that I was fascinated to learn this week, Oregon State blitzes a ton, over 40% of plays. And the quarterback for Arizona, Noah Fifita, he came in for Jaden DeLora and has looked far better than DeLora, has been probably the best quarterback in the entire country against the blitz. He's averaging 9.8 yards per attempt, which is 19th. He's completing 80.5% of his passes, which is first in the country. And this isn't a guy who has a very, very small sample size. He's been blitzing over 30% of his dropbacks this season. 5 touchdowns, just 1 interception, 0 turnover-worthy plays. So he's been very, very safe with the football, still being able to generate big plays while doing it, completing all of his passes. A 91 pass grade from PFF, which is second, only trailing Tyler Van Dyke. So if Oregon State keeps doing what they need to do defensively to stop the pass, which is blitz, Fifita will make them pay. So I like their offense to put some points up, their defense to stop the run, and I think they cover this game, and I think they have a good chance of winning it. So definitely be grabbing this team and getting more than a field goal in this one. Okay, those are my 4 favorite plays for college football Saturday in week 9. Again, if you guys are looking for more, I will definitely have a few more plays for you. Be sure to drop me a follow on Twitter, and be sure to also check us out, Lines at Lunch. We're live at noon every single day during the week. OwnersBox Sports on Twitch if you guys haven't dropped us a follow there. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you on the next one.